So welcome one and all to our first mentor session of the fall for 2023. Glad to see everyone here. Our mentors are still arriving here. This first session of the fall is going to be a little bit of an introduction, and we'll be able to sort of make some plans for our season of mentor sessions and a chance for you to network with some of the other teams. So hopefully by the end of this session, we'll be able to have a little time for some introductions, for getting event ready, for finding out ways that the community can support your team and that your team may support the community. Doing a little networking, practical connections made during the meeting here. And then we'll just take a little informal survey from the participants to create plans for future sessions in our mentor session. So with that said, let us get started with some introductions. Maybe you might want to share your who you are and maybe some of your learning goals for this fall, and maybe update about your team. I'm going to stop sharing at this moment and allow anyone who's so inclined to, you may be on the camera or not, it's all up to you, and feel free to introduce yourself, tell us about what you'd like to learn this fall through our mentor sessions, and update us about your team. I'm going to go in order from what I see on my screen here. We will go with, I believe, Daniel. Welcome, Daniel, and very nice to meet you. And maybe you can just introduce yourself and your team and your plans for the fall in terms of learning as a mentor. We are waiting to hear from Daniel. I'm not sure if Daniel can hear us here.
I can now. I had audio issues, so I rejoined.
Oh, great. So great to meet you, Daniel. Might you share with us about your team and your plans for learning for the fall as a mentor and an update? How is your team doing? Oh, I think you muted.
Yeah, the team was a rookie team last year, and they had some challenges kind of getting up and running, getting their package kind of late, and just building the robot last minute, trying to get it into competition. And then at the competition, there was a lot of help from the other teams to get things running, so they actually managed to run in the competition. This year, I think we're going to try and do a bit more planning and organizing up front. And there's a handful of students that are returning from the previous year, so they're keen to get going. And so far, it seems like there's more interest in the school, so we'll see how that develops.
That sounds great. And just for the sake of everyone, what is your team number, Daniel?
9262.
Excellent. So that's Humberside, isn't it?
That's correct.
Great. And anyone who's now joining us may feel free to change their name to also include the team number. That might just help for the sake of networking. And thank you so much, Daniel. As we now have a fair number of participants, we'll make our introductions rather brief. Just 1, 2, 3, your name, what you'd like to learn this fall, and about your team. We'll continue with David. Welcome, David.
Sorry, I was fiddling around trying to add my team number. So I'm Dave Tops. I'm with Team 4152 Hoya Robotics in Huntsville. And I'm not sure what I want to learn, but I'm interested in listening in and seeing if I can offer any help to others too. So.
Great, thank you so much. And Thomas.
Hey, I'm Thomas. I'm from 9062, and this is I'm currently at a meeting for Celtex. But what I'm looking forward to learning, I'm not quite sure, but I find I can always learn stuff from other teams, so that's why I decided to tune in today.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Thomas. Scott. we're not quite hearing from Scott Saint Amand. Maybe if you do get your audio worked out, you're most welcome to jump in. We'll continue with Lorraine. Oh, Scott has unmuted.
I think it's working now. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
You can't hear me.
yeah,
Oh, we can.
yeah.
Good. Sorry, just having trouble setting up here right now. Chromebook's not charging. It's about to go dying here, so I'm trying to get a cord in here working. Yeah, I'm just here to kind of be a bug on the wall, see what's going on, see what other people are talking about. Maybe have a question or two during here, but I think I just need to be in here to learn, see what's going on.
Great. Well,
Thanks.
great to see you again, Scott, and welcome. We'll continue on with Lorraine.
Sorry. Hi, I'm
Hi,
Lorraine,
Lorraine.
7712. I'm just here to network, one, two, see if there's any new information out there that our team can benefit from. Our team is trying to transition to a Swerve Drive for the new season. So, if there's anybody who can help us, we'll be very grateful for that.
Great. So happy to see you again, Lorraine. And we heard from Daniel. I might just circle back to Karen. My screen is going out of order now as everyone's joining. Karen, welcome.
Hi, I'm Karen Cosma. I am with HNMCS Robotics 7659, and I just thought I'll join in to see what's happening.
Great. Thank you so much, Karen. And Arjun.
Yeah, hello, sorry I'm late. My name is Arjun. I'm with team 7902. Mostly on the programming side these days, controls and a bit of electronics.
Wonderful. And great to see everyone again. We'll continue on with Cheryl.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Lewis, 7712. There's always room for learning more and more from each other so we can build a strong, healthy team. So just along for whatever we can do to advance the team and develop the capacity that we've lost from the kids who graduated last year.
Great. And we continue with Roland.
Yeah, hi everyone. Roland Singh with Team 1325, community team based in Mississauga. I'm always interested in hearing from other people and learning. I've been in first now as a volunteer for this is my 20th season. Scary. But there's always stuff to learn from people. So that's why I like joining these meetings.
And we'll continue with Randall, mentor for 2 teams. And if Randall's, oh, there's Randall.
Okay. Just taking me a moment to get unmuted here. I'm not going to worry about the video. As you see, I'm with 2 teams. I'm second mentor on 854, and I help out 1310 where I can. What my interest in learning is learning more of the software side, and more of the programming, mostly the programming side of things.
Nice.
And everything else. The team's looking very forward this year to going to STEMLY as a quote rookie team, which essentially we are because there are no existing students from 2019 on. So we're all pretty much new there. Everyone's fired up. I have 2 new mentors on the team that are all fired up. So we're working hard to get the team back up to the status it used to be at. And I know with the help from some of my mentors in 1310, they'll be able to help me out, get the team up and rolling again the way it was. So we're looking forward to helping out ourselves, of course, and any other team that's out there. I'm a mechanical guy, an electronics and pneumatics guy. So I'm quite versed in those points. And I've just been dabbling in first year for like 14 years now. So I guess it's a bit of a passion. And I'm just an outside volunteer. I'm not a teacher in any way, shape, or form. So I come from industry. But looking for another good season, and Crescendo being a music type theme should be an interesting challenge this year. I hope it's a fun challenge for everybody. Thanks, William.
Thank you so much, Randall. And Mike, I'm not sure if Mike, did you go before? I don't think so.
No, I'm still here. Mike Varsava, lead mentor for Team 7757. Our main research goals are object detection and improved April tag detection for FTC-sized robots.
So good to see you again, Mike. That needs to be disambiguated as we have another Mike from 4992 with us.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, Sparbotics in Milton. Interested in learning how to get the students more involved in the fundraising end of things and in outreach.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you. And I'll have a few references to that hopefully during our call here. There's some great work being done in the province in that regard. Thank you, Mike. And we'll continue with Erwin.
Hey guys, Erwin Chan with 1310 Runnymede Robotics. We had a pretty good season last year. Effectively a bunch of rookie students, and they had a great time. They learned a lot. They had a great time at CNE. Looking forward to STEMLY, and I've looked at the team list for STEMLY, and it's like, ooh, really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And also, just wanted to, just trying to tap into, what things are happening, like, off-season, pre-season events, things like, STEMLY. I understand that SWATposium is the same weekend as STEMLY this year. And just wondering if anyone knows if 2056 Ways to Inspire, if they have a date for that yet.
Yeah, I haven't heard from them yet. Reach out.
Their traditional date would roll if they went on their traditional date, like the weekend before Thanksgiving, that would put them at September 30th.
Wow.
Which is really short. So I don't know if they're planning that or not, or if they're gonna pick a later date.
That's a good point. We'll have to reach out to Mr. Hunter. So that's great. Thank you, Erwin. We'll continue with Paul Keenan, who is a special kind of mentor.
Huh. You could say that. I'm a first senior mentor. I know many of you, and I'm looking forward to learning how to do this. What is it called? The XRP robot that can be programmed to behave like a FRC robot using the driver station and so on. So I'll be working on that, among other things.
So that's an interesting piece of news we'll be sharing later. Paul and I both have copies of the XRP, and thanks to my FLL team, it's now ready to run. We will be sharing that with our rookie teams and hopefully other interested teams during the year. A great way to get started programming without having to lug a 110-pound robot around. And we have Tony. Tony Liang. Oh, he is away from the mic at the moment or not able to use it. But this is Tony Lang from Team 5036. We're very happy to have you with us this evening. And feel free to enter anything you'd like to share in the chat. And we'll finish our introductions with Ram.
Oh, hi. Good evening, everybody. Sorry, I was here a couple hours before and the song wasn't coming on. My name is Ram. I'm with Team 8764. We are very, very, very new. Like, we're a couple of years, but still new. And I'm here to learn everything I can. But I got some enthusiastic students, but we are very small, and yeah, we could do it any help we can get. So I'm here to absorb as much as I can.
Great. Well, so happy to see everyone again. I'm just going to share my screen and take us to the next part. Hopefully we'll have a lot of chance to interact and generate together our plans for the upcoming series of mentor sessions. So thank you for our introductions. Getting event ready, this is just a little note. We have been in touch with most of you, either Paul or I, or if you already were event ready, we may not have contacted you. It can be a little bit of a tricky process. We find some teams get through with their updated YPP right away, and others are waiting 2 or 3 or 4 weeks. And I'm hearing various accounts throughout the province. If your YPP is not working and it's been more than 5 business days, you may want to contact us and we can see if we can contact headquarters and expedite your YPP, as it doesn't seem to have any pattern except that it's random and ranges from a day to many days. So our event selection will start in 2 business days or less at noon on Thursday, and continue for the following week, followed by a week of break and another week of second event selection. So getting event ready is quite important just to get your team able to select the right events in the first round of selections. And please feel free to reach out to us if you're not event ready still, especially if you submitted your YPP more than, say, several days ago. And that's the big thing about getting event ready. Community support, just ways that teams can derive support from the community this year. And there are a number of ways on our list here. First of all, we have hubs. The hub teams this year are going to be 772, 1114, 1241, and 1305. And we will be sending out their hub information shortly, perhaps in the next program update. All 4 of these teams have agreed to be hubs this year. You can call on a hub for some technical assistance. 1241 is specializing in manufacturing parts, for example, and they're in the Mississauga area. 1114 is a remote hub and offers kind of like a remote help desk, as does 1305. And 772 probably offers a little bit of everything way down in the Windsor area. So we don't have the whole province covered, but good parts of the province covered with hubs that you could perhaps drop in and visit, or ask them to manufacture a part, or contact them remotely and draw on their support. We also have these mentor calls as a means to support our community. Our XRP robot, which Paul and I were just showing on the screen there. 2 XRP robots are going to each rookie team this year. And we're asking the rookies, after having used these robots for 1 year, to pass them on to new rookies next year. Meanwhile, they're able to get access to the FRC programming tool chain and do some programming even before the season begins. And so that's the purpose of the XRP robot. We're likely going to have a mentor call where we invite anyone interested to do some programming with the XRP robot. We'll likely have another mentor call based on the feedback heard so far to do some basic FRC coding as well. Continuing on, we have a quick build, which will happen sometime in perhaps late January. And the quick build this year, we're going to have to determine whether it's going to be the KitBot or the EveryBot. The KitBot, arriving in your kit of parts, will be a very nice way to, out of the box, get a working robot without too much manufacturing and overhead. Great for teams that don't have access to all kinds of manufacturing facilities, or teams that are now regenerating their human resources. And then it's also great for teams that just want to get started quickly and start modifying. And you can modify your KitBot all season. And last year, our EveryBots looked quite different on week 5 compared to week 1. There's also a registration bonus that we've been offering to rookie teams this year. And speaking of finances, many of you, almost all of you except for one, are from, or maybe I think everyone here is from a veteran team. So if your team is encountering unusual and excessive financial challenges, you may apply for the hardship grant. It's quite easy to do. all you have to do is just email. You can email me and just write a paragraph about your team's situation. And we're not making the application that difficult. It should be just easy and keep you going. Just write a paragraph describing your team's condition and reasons that you may want to draw on additional funding. We'll have funding for about 10 teams this year. One team has already applied for that grant. And that is a summary of our community support, aside from which you'll find in our update emails, program updates. And the update emails also contain a link to our Slack channel. I didn't list them here as they are something that many of you receive already. And if you look on today's update, you'll see the reference to our Slack channel, the Ontario Team Support Slack channel. And we see many of you have already been active in that recently. So hopefully in one way or another, we may support each other and make gracious professionalism and cooperation such an amazing experience for everyone. So there's our community support. And now we'll take some time to do a little bit of networking, and we'll see how the conversation goes and identify a few themes from our networking. And we may be able to break out into breakout rooms tonight, depending on how the discussion is going. Or we could just stick in the same room. I'm going to see what's happening. So we'll start off the conversation with an open invitation to share whether your team may offer support or whether you need support, and we can discuss connections between the teams. So for this, I'm going to again stop sharing, and we will invite anyone who would like to. You may put up your hand in the chat and share any offers to support or requests for support of all kinds of different issues. I see Daniel.
Yeah, I'll jump right in. So I don't know what I need because this is my first year actually being a mentor for FRC. I'm not a teacher, I'm just a parent. And so I don't know a lot of the processes that happen, how things go about for fundraising. You know, I guess the YPP is something I'm gonna have to check the teacher to make sure all that's in place for me. So I don't know if we're necessarily going to be in a position to offer a lot of help, but I don't know what to ask for either.
Just a very quick comment, if I may. I believe you have 2 teachers at the school now, according to the email I received
That's
today.
correct.
And Mr. Williamson and another teacher, I've forgotten her name. And it seems hopefully they will be able to get the YPP worked out.
Okay.
And it's Rohan Williamson.
Yes.
Yeah. And we will ask him about that. So I would suspect, given that they are the teachers at the school, they'll handle anything to do with permissions, with the school board and arranging transportation and things like that. And maybe they may draw on your support for team meetings. And I'm not sure if you're in the capacity as a technically inclined parent or a supporting parent.
I'm technically inclined, and I guess I'm also willing to do the support for the competitions. So is that for the competitions, do the lead mentors, which are teachers, have to be there, or can the team be supported just by other adult mentors?
And as long as there are at least 2 adult mentors supporting the team at the competition, it's fine. They don't have to be the lead mentors.
Right.
Simply that the lead mentors have to do certain administrative tasks, and only the lead mentors can do that, like getting their YPP passed and passing on messages to you from the program updates. They get the things started. It is very useful, and there are some details in today's program update which highlight some additional steps that are recommended to and asked of teams in terms of their youth protection policies and procedures. And you may want to ask about that as well.
Yeah.
But the overall sort of approach for a technical mentor, in the fall, you may participate in training sessions that increase the capacity of the students. I know many teams work on their previous robots or do a little module project or something like this. And then the more intense time of the year from January to April when we are building and then competing with our robots. You may be involved in the design or coding or the manufacturing process in that time. I'm sure there are lots more tips and suggestions from the rest of the community. I'm going to go to Erwin in case he might want to jump in and add more.
Okay. I just want to mention that for the YPP, it doesn't have to be done through the school. For example, I'm a scout leader. So I have like, you know, I had to go, I have the vulnerable sector screening and the regular background checks. But when you do, as a result, I have a My Back Check account that I use to renew it for scouting every year. And for FIRST also accepts My Back Check. So when I need to renew my YPP for FIRST, I just give them my back check account number and it just automatically gets up. They just look and says, okay, you're up to date and you're done.
Yeah,
So,
I've done the vulnerable sector screening and the school has my paperwork for that. I just wasn't sure how that translates into the YPP that that FIRST accepts.
well, it's only really needed for the 2 lead mentors.
Okay.
Is that's part of the, but it's always good to have, like, you know, more people with it.
So, thank you, Erwin. Maybe we can continue with Arjun and see if we can, through the discussion, sort of answer for a new mentor, that's Daniel, how the season goes for a technical mentor supporting a team. And if you have anything else to add as well, that's also fine.
Still kind of on the original topic, less so YPP, but we're here in Markham. We have members around York region. We don't have a permanent build space, but things we can offer are like 3D printed parts. Like in the past, we've 3D printed pulleys and vectored intake wheels for teams around us, and we can drop those off or you can come pick them up. So 3D printing is definitely a strength of ours, and over the last few years, we kind of built up a lot of good practice with 3D printing, kind of managing. We don't have a team 3D printer, rather any members who have a printer, we then figure out what profiles they have, figure out what their capabilities are, and then do material reimbursement. So we reimburse them for the cost of the filament. So basically our printers are scattered around Markham, but that kind of works to the benefit of other teams that if they need anything printed, we can try to get something to them.
Great. Oh, thank you very much, Arjun. So we may have started the process of answering Daniel's question, and maybe you have some additional refining comments or questions, Daniel. I also see Roland has a hand up.
I don't have any pointed questions, so this is more of just, you know, whatever information you guys can put forward, I'll absorb what I can.
Great, that sounds good. I see Roland.
Yeah, so I just wanted to put out there that we've got, you know, thanks to our generous sponsors, we have a workshop that we work out of, and a practice field, as some of you may know. And those are available to other teams. We did do some part manufacturing. 7712 got some parts from us last year, as an example. I mean, you know, we're willing to do that for other teams. We've got a CNC router and a 3-axis mill and a lathe, and so we're pretty well equipped, as an FRC team needs to be. You know, all we need is a CAD, basically, or not even. I mean, like, sometimes we'll work from napkin drawings. We've done that before. Our lead machine mentor, Doug, he's a wizard at this stuff. So, and yeah, and I mean, in general, I mean, we're willing to offer support to any team that needs it if you have a question. I am a technical mentor, but I'm definitely these days more on the administrative side on our team, handling all the First Inspire stuff, for example, which can be a challenge sometimes. I think William and Paul know all about that kind of stuff. And so I can answer questions about that. The new QR code thing this year is actually pretty decent. I've already did it for our FLL teams, and it's a lot easier than what we used to have to go through to get everybody on First Inspires. So, yeah, I mean, just want to put it out there that you know, and you know, any support that we can give. I mean, especially if you're kind of based in the West End, as we are based in Mississauga, I'm happy to help.
And I see Lorraine has a hand up. I'm going to just go to 2 comments in the chat. First of all, thank you to Thomas, who's offering to support in any subject aside from code. And we know, many of us know Thomas from many parts of FIRST. He has definitely been in the machine shops at events and is quite skilled at all the other aspects of running a team in terms of creating parts, troubleshooting the electronics and robots, and doing business related activities. So thank you, Thomas. I also see a question from Randall. The quick build is planned in general this year. I believe we will have to discern from FIRST headquarters what the nature of the every bot versus the kit bot will be. Are they 2 distinct things, or are they the same? That's not clear to me at the moment. And we will be announcing, as we get closer to the time, our plans for some kind of quick build, likely in the last week of January. And a local kickoff venue depends on what you mean by local. Northern Ontario does not have a local kickoff venue yet. Eastern Ontario does. A dual venue is going to cover the 2 main cities of Eastern Ontario. Also, Eastern GTA may have a new offering this year for the kickoff. And you will probably see those locations announced soon, as our final location was confirmed this afternoon. So maybe next mentor update will confirm our kickoff locations. You will also see them in your dashboard.
So what actually happens in those kickoff locations?
So the kickoff locations are where you pick up your kit of parts. Anyone in the GTA will likely know about Studica, and that's our biggest kickoff. Last year, perhaps 70 or 80 teams received their kit of parts there. Aside from that, last year we were in Windsor, London, and Halton District School Board at the Craig Kielburger School, and then Kingston/Ottawa, because they cooperated. And we also may have there's also one in Breslau in Kitchener-Waterloo area. And we may have one in the Scarborough general area. Or no, maybe more than Scarborough. Sorry, my GTA knowledge is very general. I think it's more out by Durham College. There may be a kickoff in that general area.
Along those lines, would there be any interest in doing having a local kickoff up in Northern Ontario? Because I mean, at least for us, we have our own kickoff that we invite our school board teams to. So, and sometimes they don't always come, but you know, we're already hosting an event on kickoff in Huntsville here. So
interesting. You might want to email me about this, and we can see if something can be done in your case. Because it will be more convenient to get the kits to North Bay, Sudbury, Manitoulin Island, and the general Muskoka area from your location possibly. So that's a great idea. Maybe you'll email and we can see what can happen. So thank you. And I see that brings us to Lorraine. Your hand was up previously. I was just addressing the chat there.
No, I just want to say that 1325 Roland and his team, you know, they were very instrumental in 7712 getting to as far as they did in the competition. They offered us great help for, you know, we're really grateful. And this year we'll be transitioning into Swerve. And I'm not sure if Herbie reached out to Roland already, but you'll be hearing from us, Roland.
Nice.
Thank you.
All right, no issues. I'm ready.
So that's great. I hope that these kinds of connections may be formed through our discussion here. And of course, in this kind of session, it's quite general. We've already heard a interest in learning how to do certain technical activities like the Swerve, then the coding, then the fundraising, then the general team organization. So hopefully we can also network around these topics as we're here. I just saw in the chat, just a little update here, that Thomas has confirmed for us that they are different because it is Kitbot, it is not Everybot. And that might be something the teams may want to think about. You saw the Everybot last year. The Everybot did a great job, and several teams were going far into the competition with their Everybots. The Kitbot, you can get with your kit of parts and start right away. The Everybot, you'll have to procure the parts and maybe start building a little later in January. And I see Thomas has a hand up.
Yeah, so basically the way that I understand the Everybot versus the Kickoff Kitbot to be different is that the Everybot will still try to be competitive. It'll still have a $1,500 or $2,000 price to it. Not everything is going to be supplied, and there's going to be a Home Depot run at minimum involved, probably a Rev order as well. I know that they used a Rev 90-degree gearbox last year, which was very hard to source here in Canada. And to counter that, the Kitbot is designed to play some elements. The key phrase that they used was, it will be able to play some of the competition. So it won't be an RP machine. It won't be able to do both primary and secondary objectives necessarily. It's just to make sure that teams are rolling and to reduce the amount of teams that show up to competition with only what came in the kit of parts. We want to try and provide a bigger kit of parts. So that's, to my knowledge, what's going on. That's my interpretation of the Chief Delphi posts and the first updates.
Great. And I see a comment there. Oh, maybe someone else has something to say before we go.
I was going to comment that I like that idea. The new what's it, Kitbot or whatever they call it there, the starter one. I see a lot of teams that want to try their own stuff. They want to try designing things, and it gives you a start so you can do something, but it still opens up more creativity to create your own thing than the Everybot does. So I kind of like that idea.
And an interesting note, just to add on to that, even though when you follow the directions, the Everybots end up looking fairly similar, they do evolve throughout the season. So there's still a lot of room for creativity. It just may be a call you make depending on the number of mentors and capable, experienced students you have to be able to build something new versus building something from the instructions and then further modifying it. So every team can engage at their own level. Interesting. So just going down here to the cutting of metals. Last year, we did have some great support from teams 1241 and 1360 to help us cut all the pieces for approximately 15 Everybots. I can't remember the exact number. And many teams were able to pick them up at Studica and get it going fairly quickly by around the last week of January. And we had our quick build in the first week of February. So we will definitely note that in your feedback. It was a very popular program last year. A lot of teams built Everybots on their own as well. And I think we had something like 17 Everybots active in the province last year. And then there's a question, does anyone have water jet cutting? That's a really great question. I know here in London, there is a company that some teams seem to use. Maybe you know about that one here in London, Thomas. I don't know. I definitely am not in touch with them. And I'm not sure about the rest of the province, if anyone's in touch with water jet facilities.
Yeah, so to my knowledge, Oakbotics gets the most of their water jet and laser stuff from one of their primary title sponsors, Abooma. I don't think that is more than 2 teams get sponsored by them a year. I don't think that's something they're willing to offer to everybody, but it's worth a shot. So Brian Wag, most of you know him through Slack or through events. He's a very kind man. He's one of the head coaches for Oakbotics. And so if you have questions about their sponsor, Abooma, he's the guy to ask.
And surely we must have more water jet companies than just that one. There may be more throughout the system in Ontario here. Hopefully we'll be able to find some more. I also know that we have had really great support from our colleges. Fanshawe College, for example, we were in talks with Fanshawe College. They really want to be involved, and they have offered at very least some mentor support and or part production support in the London area. We also have Georgian College, which has been very enthusiastic in supporting FIRST and may be involved in that manner with the FRC this year. More will be announced about that as time unfolds. And our other college partners have been really great in offering manufacturing and all of that. Hopefully that's something you may be able to consider. A local college may be able to help you in manufacturing your parts. Oh, great. So it might be great just to maybe help generate our agenda for future sessions. You may feel free to use the chat to either directly message me or just in public, doesn't really matter, but maybe we could just take a few moments and jot down a few things that you would like to see in the mentor sessions that may help your team to further prepare for the upcoming FRC season. Anything you like. What we do when we plan sessions, we collect as much input as possible, and then we take the most common requests and build our sessions around that. And that's how we created all of this. So we are definitely getting a fundraising. I think it might be nice to talk about fundraising for a few minutes here, as that's a very, very common topic around the province. So please continue. There we are. Outreach collaboration. And that's a great point. Good. Okay, we'll start here with fundraising and then collaboration. I think those kind of go together a little. Please feel free to continue typing and we'll come back to the chat. We've had several really great fundraising mentor talks over the years that I've been, the 2 years that I've been here, but also we hear a lot of anecdotes from different teams in the community about approaches to fundraising. So we may be able to just discuss a little bit of that here and maybe come up with a few practical suggestions for the team. Of course, each team is different. We recognize that even in a small geographic area, social and economic conditions may vary, available parents may vary, number of mentors, number of students on the team. All of these are factors to consider when we're looking at a fundraising strategy. And so in that case, we can just consider there are lots of possible approaches, and maybe some of the discussed approaches may apply to any one team. So I'll just share one story just to get us started. By speaking with teams throughout the province, we came up with this approach done by some teams because there's an issue about raising an entry fee. That is one approach. Some teams just have an outright entry fee. When my team started back in 2015, I didn't know anything about FIRST. And luckily my students did because they had friends on FRC teams. And actually they did this technique without even telling me because they held the whole meeting in Chinese. But by the end of the meeting, I found out that they raised $150 from each student. And that was possible among their friends that were joining the team. But that's not possible in every school. So if you speak to teams, you'll find some have an entry fee, but some have a multiple choice kind of entry system. You may bring the entry fee or bring a parent to the team who will support, or bring a mentor from a local organization, or bring a sponsor. And that's a little more variety, and it appeals to the student's sense of endeavor and entrepreneurship in a way. And if they don't want to pay the entry fee, there are other ways. And of course, it should be done with wisdom and encouragement and recognizing that it is a challenge, and we just support them the best we can. So that's a one place to get the discussion started, that there are multiple ways to raise funds, and that getting more people involved is a crucial part of having a sustainable system for a team. I'm seeing now Roland's hand up, and we'll go to a discussion.
So in our experience, I mean, as a community team, we do have a registration fee, which I think was William was alluding to. It's not stupid. It's in line. Like if you're gonna play like House League baseball or House League hockey, or other kind of sporting, community-based sporting event type things, that's kind of where our registration is around in that area. It's very competitive with that. So that's pretty reasonable, considering the costs we have, because I mean, it takes a lot more to run an FRC team than it does to run a soccer team. I can tell you that from personal experience. And we also do a similar thing where if the student brings in a sponsor, then we'll waive the registration fee. Now the sponsorship has to be worth at least $500. But we will do that. And then also, very quietly, we also have discussions with some parents who find the fee maybe a little bit of a problem, and we make arrangements or organize a discount or whatever. We try to be as accessible as we can. In terms of sponsorship, the best place to start is with your parents. A lot of them are connected in one way or another to the companies that they work with, or they've got a neighbor who works with a different company. I mean, like our premier sponsor, Packline, was the neighbor of a kid who was on our team 6-7 years ago, and now they host our workshop for us, amongst other things that they do. Like it's incredible sometimes just what networking can do. So the first place I would start is with your parents. Ask them to ask who they know, especially if they work kind of in a tech-based company, if they would be willing to support STEM education in their community. And in a lot of cases, you'll find that these companies are pretty agreeable. It starts small in a lot of cases. I mean, Packline, I think the first year they sponsored us, they gave us $1,000, but it starts somewhere, right? And also, like if they work for a bigger company, a lot of them have matching grants. For one of our mentors works for RBC, for example, and every year he applies for the matching grant, and it's $400 or $500, but every dollar counts, right? One of our alumni mentors, he's graduated from university and he now works for AMD. They have a matching grant and he applied for that, and we've already gotten money from them. So like like these kinds of things are the easy things to start with, right? Talk to your parents. They already believe in the program enough that they've been willing to register their child on the team. And so now it's time to kind of, so you ask them to kind of take it to the next step and see if they can raise some sponsorship money for you. And with 1325, as some of our biggest sponsors started that way. And that would be the first thing that I would recommend anyone do.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much, Roland. Yeah. It is quite an art and a skill to get sponsorships going for teams. And the one thing that we have observed, there are some teams who do a cold call approach, and the percentage of fruitful responses is rather low. It requires a whole team of students determined to, in the end, reach out to perhaps hundreds of organizations to get a handful that may offer sponsorship. It is a way that works, but Roland indicated that networking is one of the most effective ways, because in the end, it was a neighbor, someone who knew someone on the team, that was able to create that sponsorship opportunity. Much better than just calling up a company who may not know who you are. And I found that is one of the patterns throughout the province that, yeah, well, that's just a general concept that networking is much more effective with people that you know than with people that you don't.
William, I'll add really quickly is that in our earlier days, we did do cold calling. None of those sponsors ever stuck with us.
Yes.
And like you make a lot of phone calls and you do a lot of visits with kids and with a robot to do a demonstration. And you're lucky if you get one or two. The percentages are pretty meager. It's a lot of effort for not a lot of return, at least in our experience. It's a good learning experience for the students, though. Don't get me wrong. They learn a lot pretty quickly about presentation skills, doing stuff like that. But yeah, in our experience, networking works just way better.
Wow. Thank you. I see Randall has a hand up, and we may go on to a few of the other suggested topics here.
Hi, William. Thanks. On the note of sponsorship and charging a fee to students, there's other ways that the student could perhaps get around it. Because as you know, during build season, we have kids at the schools, at their build sites, wherever, for long hours. And we all know kids get hungry. You could get your parents or students' parents to volunteer to offer a simple meal, like cold cut sandwiches, for example, is something that works very well, very much appreciated by everybody. I know one team that does this and says, yeah, we'll help waive your fee if you can do that, because that's a substantial resource that you're giving to the team as a whole. So that's another way that parents can help their students if they are somewhat financially strapped to pay a registration fee. It works. And again, it's all about how the mentors of the team handle it. And that's one good way to handle it, is to say, okay, we can waive your registration fee if you do this for us, because it's greatly appreciated. That's one methodology that works, and I know works well. Of course, there are students that are just financially strapped, and that's where, as 1325 would say, yeah, we can work out something with you because we understand that. Because we want the students to be there. We want them to be involved. We want them to be engaged. And it's a nice way for it to happen. Just some thoughts and comments on it. And William, I have another thought that you and I need to talk about at a later time.
Sure, that sounds good.
I'll give it back to you.
Yours to answer. I'm getting onto a few of the emails from last week, and I do have an email of yours to answer, and I'll get back to it.
Okay.
Good. Thank you. And Arjun.
Yeah, actually, I'll add on, and no one from 2702 is here because I always bring them up, and they're the ones who first said this to us at like robots at CNE in 2019. Anyways, but get the parents involved early on. So, I think last season was the first season where we had regular meetings with the parents, and that worked really well for getting at least a few of them involved and active on the team, more than we had the previous season. And this is the first season now we're piloting a WhatsApp group. So one of the main feedback items was the parents would like to have more regular updates about what's happening on the team, what's happening during the build season, just like a quick message every week, like, hey, this is what's happening, this is the plan for the week, these are the different subdivisions, programming's doing this, CAD's doing this, so on, so on. I know there are challenges with school teams also in terms of policy, and it's not always straightforward to communicate with parents that way. But if you can, then definitely a platform like WhatsApp or even just email blasts we found them very useful for getting students, I guess, more active on the team, getting support from parents. And that might also lead to financial support, help with sponsorships, things like that.
Great. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, when parents are coming out, and we've had this a build night or an event night or whatever. They're coming, picking up students, invite them in, show them stuff, demonstrate what we got, because we've had a few parents get kind of hooked that way. So show them what's going on, and they might be interested and get involved themselves.
Great. So just to read through a few of the topics, we may have to make some entire calls around these. And I was hoping Thomas might be here, as he had suggested the collaboration. That's a whole other topic, because that kind of goes along with fundraising. There's a concept for large companies that they may like to sponsor 10 teams at a time rather than one team at a time. And that's kind of natural. Collections of teams through a school board or through a general region are often able to get system-wide sponsorships. And we have a few examples of those around. AMD in Hamilton, for example, has been very generous as a sponsor for numerous schools in the Hamilton area, and so on. Just scanning through our suggested topics here. The local kickoff for the GTA. I don't know if we're quite at the point of having local in Toronto, but Scarborough and Mississauga may be the closest we can get. Unless someone may want to come forward as a potential kickoff partner for the GTA itself. Then we also have using the First Inspires dashboard. Whoa, that's a very good point. One of the most difficult parts of First has always been the registration and dealing with the accounts. This is across the board, from students to even working at First. I have issues working with the HQ's interface. And right now I know there's a lot of experiences where things are not quite working as hoped. So that would be a great tutorial. It may be interesting to hear from teams. Apparently there's a 1-minute sign up this year. And I'd love to see or hear how that's going for the teams, if it is actually a 1-minute sign up, and see how it goes. I may follow my son's team and see how their students are at signing up and get some firsthand experience. And if any of you has experience trying to help students sign up, it would be great to hear what it is like from their perspective. I see Roland.
Is that the QR code thing? The 1-minute sign up? Is that what they're?
I believe not only the QR code, because the QR code will get you the link, but it's just that it's 1, 2, 3, done kind of sign up, rather than let's click 30 times when we could click 3 times.
Okay. Well, I mean, with our FLL teams, it was kind of neat because there was a QR code that the parents had to scan, and then they were able to fill in the form, and the registration appeared, and it was just so much simpler than my experience doing FRC. I guess when I finally get around to getting everybody on the FRC roster, I'll see if it's just as easy, but I'll hold my comments then for now.
They have promised us across the board 1-minute signups for USA and Canada this year. So we'll hope that is the case. Sounds good that you've already experienced that with FLL. So great. And going down here, the First dashboard and the possibility of going to First Championship. And that's something we'll probably also be holding a meeting or a call about. One thing we do every year is send around a survey to see who is planning to go. And then we may help everyone to network together. There are various ways to get everything and everyone down to Houston. And they involve anything from chartering a plane or a bus, to teams sort of gathering together, or sharing transportation just for their robots. And First Canada itself is actually considering the most effective way to get the robots, the pits, and everyone down. And we'll be offering some suggested assistance in that regard. FedEx will help us ship the robots, for example, this year. And we can have teams do that, or they may elect to go together all in one transportation mode. There were some issues with that because there are tight turnarounds. There are risks involved. If someone is taking a single vehicle across the border and numerous teams have their things on that vehicle, it must be 100% sure that the paperwork is right. And so that's just a little preview to that kind of discussion, and we will be sure to work that into our season. We're going to start with a survey at some point, not too far in the future, to get a sense as to which teams would consider going, were they to qualify, and then we can start working there. You will notice that some teams already talk about booking hotels many months out and booking transportation and the like, as it makes it much more predictable. So thank you for that suggestion. We'll see if we can do that. And there's a good point from Ram. It seems that some companies are tired of being contacted, so they'd rather not be contacted. And
Yeah,
that goes back to being able to personally contact people rather than just spamming websites with your requests.
back when we were doing cold calling, I think last time we did it was 2022. We had a 1% success rate, but one of the things we said is contact them by phone, speak to the operator or the front desk, and if you can't get an actual person with a different email than like info@company.com, then just drop that sponsor, because you're not going to get anything if you don't actually have a person there you can speak to.
Yeah, that may save some time for sure. And hopefully that might be enhanced by a network of parents and existing community contacts. So if you want yogurt, you start with a little yogurt. I think the same goes for networking and contacting people. Well, I was going to suggest there's a lot to cover in terms of running an FRC team. And there are numerous great suggestions here for future topics of our mentor sessions. And these will surely include coding. They often include CAD, and then team organization, finance, and perhaps our XRP robots. We may have something to do with those in a session this year. And we'll see where all of that discussion goes. We really look forward to seeing you at all the various events that are coming up. That may include, hopefully, the 2056 Ways to Inspire conference, which we haven't heard from yet, the SWATposium, the STEMLY Cup, the off-season in Windsor, that's the Windsor International on the 28th of October, and of course, in the regular season. If you do have questions, please feel most welcome to call and or email. You can call me anytime. I'll either have my phone off and call you later, or answer right away if I'm not in a meeting. And very glad to hear from all of you and find ways to support you. And Paul has been most gracious in also helping with teams getting event ready. If you have any event ready issues, you can let Paul or I know, and we can help to expedite any of those things. And yeah, we really look forward to further collaboration throughout the season. I think there's another topic just to mention here, curriculum. A lot of requests for support with activities in the classroom relating to FRC have come through the system this year, and we'll hopefully have another chance to discuss those in a mentor call. So those are some of the overall topics that we may be able to discuss, and hopefully you've had a chance to reach out to a few of the mentors here. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. I'm just going to stop the recording.